Greg Haugen's toughness, he is not a brawler. He has developed into a very clever boxer. He's not easy to hit. He's an effective counterpuncher, and it's very difficult to shake his concentration. The key question here is whether Haugen will be able to maintain his effectiveness in the face of Pernell Whitaker's speed.
One of the things we have to address right off the bat is the fact that Pernell Whitaker fights as a southpaw, and what kind of problems this might cause Greg Haugen, because it certainly does confuse most of his opponents.
Well, you just saw Haugen clip Pernell on the head with on the chin with the right hand there. Greg Haugen has fought 3 southpaws. He's never looked good against them. He says that he's learned how to fight southpaws in training for this fight. He says the key punch is his left hook. He wants to keep Whitaker in front of him with the left hook. There, a good left-hand lead by Pernell.
Pernell Whitaker in the blue trunks, Greg Haugen in the black trunks, and Pernell Whitaker saying before this fight that he's more than willing to work the body, and that's one of the things we've seen in Whitaker's recent bouts, is his ability to be patient and work over the body of an opponent.
And Greg Haugen does that also very, very well.
You mentioned earlier about Haugen being more than just a tough guy. I think he really illustrated that when he won the title back from Vinny Pazienza, the way he effectively used the jab in that fight. It's really a good illustration, and another solid left from Whitaker scores.
Haugen shaking his head, spitting at Whitaker just then. He will do anything, Greg Haugen will, to shake his opponent's concentration. He is able to keep his concentration very well. Even when he's being hit, he's always looking to hit you back.
Good illustration there as Whitaker attempting to back out of a clinch and off balance a little bit, and Haugen, ever the opportunist, doesn't hesitate at all and goes right after.
One thing different right away that you see from Pernell Whitaker, who fought the first time for the title against Jose Luis Ramirez, he is not moving as much laterally. He is not running away as much. He is actually right now stalking Greg Haugen.
Almost everyone who watched the Ramirez-Whitaker fight felt that Whitaker was the winner, but they all did agree if anything cost him the fight, it was his fighting out of a retreat for the last 5 rounds of the fight.
You know, one other thing these 2 fighters have in common is the fact that each has a loss in his record, and both those losses, Haugen's to Vinny Pazienza the first fight, and Pernell Whitaker to Jose Luis Ramirez, were very, very controversial. Almost everybody in boxing thought they won, and they should be undefeated.
We're inside the last 10 seconds of the first round. This is the IBF Lightweight Championship from Hampton, Virginia. We'll be back. The second round gets underway, and make no mistake about it, there are very few people in this building rooting for Greg Haugen. It is Pernell Whitaker's hometown, and he enjoys both the attention and the support that he gets from this crowd.
Greg Haugen says that he is fed by being the villain in somebody else's hometown. It gives him energy. He also says that this crowd will not allow Pernell Whitaker to run from him, that they will force Pernell Whitaker to fight him, and Greg says that plays into his hands.
You think Haugen learned something going to Providence, Rhode Island to fight Vinny Pazienza when he lost the decision up there? Oh, and a solid right from Whitaker.
Haugen tried to move away from it, but Pernell's hands just got that jab there too quick.
One of the things Greg Haugen might have expected from Pernell Whitaker was for him to fight going backwards. But look how aggressive Whitaker is being, and Greg Haugen trying to shake it off, saying nothing's bothering me. I'm not sure that's the case.
It may not be bothering him, but it's definitely scoring points. There's Karen Haugen, Greg's wife, watching. They've been together a long time. They moved together to Alaska from Washington when they were 16 years old. Another good stinging, stiff jab by Pernell Whitaker.
Said that he thought Vinny Pazienza was every bit as quick as Pernell Whitaker. Keep in mind that he's never been in the ring with Whitaker, but I doubt that's the case, Alex.
I think if we could interview him right now, he might take that back.
Yeah, I think he might as well. Again, the right jab from Pernell Whitaker, and a trio of jabs from Greg Haugen, the middle one connected.
Pernell Whitaker complaining to Rothenberg about Haugen's head. Both these fighters like to bend over to get leverage for their punches.
Well, there is the warning to Haugen, but Whitaker issued a warning of his own as he connected with the left. as Haugen came in low. That's a double loss for Greg Haugen. Not a great deal of fighting in reverse by these two.
One of the interesting things coming in, Dan, was who would initiate the action. Both of them like to counterpunch. You saw some counterpunching there by Pernell Whitaker after Haugen started, and a good left hand by Whitaker.
And there he goes to the body, and Greg Haugen is covering up.
He's covering up, but those punches are getting through. He can shake his head and he can smile all he wants, but Pernell Whitaker's gotten out of the gate much faster than the champion Greg Haugen.
I think you're right, Alex. Anytime a guy tries to laugh it off, he's trying to disguise something. And Pernell Whitaker has dominated here in the second round. Stay with us. We'll be back in a moment. Away in round number 3, Dan Deerdorf and Alex Wallow ringside here in Hampton, Virginia. The IBF World Lightweight Championship. Greg Haugen and Pernell Whitaker. Whitaker in the blue trunks, Haugen in the black. And the first 2 rounds, at least on our unofficial card, goes to Whitaker, and a good combination there, though, by Greg Haugen.
First one was real close. I thought Pernell took over a little bit in the second round. This is the form that we expected. Greg Haugen has always been a slow starter. He felt that if he could win 2 out of the first 4 rounds,
Well, Haugen tried to laugh after the first jab, but the second jab, now there is a study in wiping the smile off someone's face.
I was just starting to say that Greg Haugen thought if he could win 2 out of the first 4 rounds, he would definitely win the fight. He's lost the first 2 in our judgment, and he's got to get into, he can't fall too far behind.
Well, and he certainly, I think, should maybe get away from smiling so much in the ring and get down to some serious fighting and trying to stay away from the jab of Whitaker. Another solid right jab puts Haugen back on the ropes. And Haugen, for some reason, Alex, keeping his left way down, giving a perfect avenue for that jab.
Well, Greg Haugen doesn't block punches. He generally leans back for them. He has good enough reflexes. With most fighters, he is able to lean back and make them miss and then jump in with his counter punches. But Whitaker's punches are just getting there faster than any jab ever has. It's also coming from the other side. It's a right jab. He has to make 2 adjustments here. Haugen does. He's got to adjust to Whitaker's speed, and he's got to adjust to his southpaw style.
Easier said than done, wouldn't you say?
It has been so far.
And the right jab and then quickly following it up with a flurry has been extremely effective for Sweet Pea, Pernell Whitaker. And something he's always done well is throw the flurry. Certainly never be accused of being a one-punch guy, Pernell Whitaker.
There's the first good solid body punch by Haugen, and you saw Whitaker come to the left of the body. I thought it was a little bit low. And again, the left of the body by Haugen. Remember, George Chamirez, Haugen's trainer, said we have to take away Whitaker's legs with body punches. Again, Haugen laying on the ropes. Now he tries to turn him.
You think somehow Haugen thinks that the longer this fight goes, the more the advantage might swing his way?
Oh, he definitely thinks that. He says that Whitaker tired against Ramirez. He tired against Mayweather. Good body punch right to the body by Whitaker. And you saw Haugen off balance and again on the ropes.
And a right uppercut from Whitaker got through the defense of Haugen, and you can see the chin fly back. 3 good rounds. We'll be back for round 4 in a moment. Was in the 3rd round. A good look at the right jab of Pernell Whitaker and how easily it gets over the left that's low of Greg Haugen. And here we are, the beginning of round number 4.
Pernell Whitaker said before the fight, as did Lou Duva, his co-manager, that the jab can set up the body punches.
Well, Haugen is intentionally going back against the ropes and covering up. He's really not being forced there by Whitaker. And another solid left by Pernell Whitaker. A left hook scores.
The only thing you can think about that tactic, Dan, is, if it is a tactic, is that he's trying to let Whitaker punch himself out. What he's doing is giving away all the early rounds.
And I wonder if at the same time he might not be underestimating Pernell Whitaker's power. I mean, no one ever labeled him a knockout artist. And again, Haugen sits back in the corner and takes a beating to the body.
Pernell Whitaker learned a little lesson there. He was concentrating so much on his offense when Haugen finished that exchange with a right hand to the head. Pernell must keep his hands up on the inside. Again, good stiff jab, backs Haugen up.
Greg Haugen again in there leading with the head.
Well, you would think that Haugen's the last guy in the world to want to lead with his head. He's got a huge scar on his right eye. Another low blow by Whitaker.
He got that cut in the Santana fight April of last year and has only fought 10 rounds since then. So it's certainly not a given that that scar and that cut is not going to open up on him again.
There was a good double jab from Greg Haugen. As you said earlier in the fight, Dan, Haugen established his jab in the second Pazienza fight. We haven't seen that much of it here. He must out-jab Whitaker to get in this fight.
Pernell Whitaker certainly not hesitating at all. If Haugen's going to sit on the ropes, Whitaker's going to take advantage of it.
Again, Pernell must be very careful that he doesn't get sloppy on the inside there. He had Haugen on the ropes, and he was letting his hands go, but he was not covering up after punching, and Haugen did come back with punches. They didn't score, but they might in later rounds.
Greg Haugen's face beginning to show the wear and tear underneath both of his eyes, high on his cheekbone. They've been stinging from the jab of Pernell Whitaker. Solid lead to the body, and a low blow by Whitaker, who, Alex, you and I talked about it before the fight, has a history of low blow.
Well, all good body punches occasionally hit low. Again, the jab. But the key here is whether Whitaker gets warned for it.
And so far, he has not been warned.
If the referee's going to allow it, Pernell's going to do that all day long.
And that right connected, Haugen driven backwards, and through 4, you'd have to say this fight belongs to Pernell Whitaker. Break between rounds, George Chamiris, the trainer of Greg Haugen, imploring his fighter that you can't do this just one punch at a time. You got to put together a flurry. You've got to be a combination puncher. And Alex, he's exactly right.
Well, he's right, but that really isn't Greg Haugen's style. Greg has always been a guy who will pick with a shot, then let you miss and come back with a shot. He really hasn't been the kind of combination puncher that Pernell Whitaker is. It's been successful for him in the past, but whether he can, change his style right here in against maybe the toughest opponent of his career remains to be seen. Haugen just not getting off on that exchange. How he could stand there and let Whitaker hit him 3 and 4 times and not let anything come back. They're a single punch, but single punches aren't going to get it done.
Frankly, I think Greg Haugen is a little taken back with the way Pernell Whitaker is fighting him so aggressively. I got the sense in talking to him that he really thought that Pernell Whitaker was going to be the guy to try to use his foot speed, use all the ring, and really try to move Haugen around the ring. Haugen was talking, Alex, about wanting to cut off the ring.
That's
that
right.
hasn't been a problem today for him.
And then there's the first showboating by Pernell Whitaker.